Today's video is going to be a serious one because something big is happening in the UK right now, and most people still don't quite realise just how big this really is. For the year ending June 2025, an estimated 252,000 British nationals emigrated from the UK. That's not arrivals, that's British people leaving. What makes this number even more startling is that it's now at a similar level to long-term emigration from non-EU national groups. In plain English, Brits are now leaving their own country at the same scale that new migrants are arriving. And that should make everyone stop and think. This is not a trickle, it's a pattern. Let's be very clear, this is not just students on gap years. It's not just retirees chasing sunshine. And it's not just a few digital nomads working from laptop cafes. This is now a sustained onward movement of working professionals, business owners, investors, high earners and skilled workers. People with assets, qualifications, portable incomes, businesses and international options. This isn't a lifestyle trend anymore, it's an economic signal. I've mentioned this in a previous video, but it's very important to reiterate this. Whenever you see large numbers of productive people quietly exiting a country, you should always ask one question: why? For many British expats I speak to, including those who never plan to leave permanently, the core emotion that describes their issues is not greed, it's disillusionment. Disillusionment with the direction of the economy, the rise in tax burden, the shrinking middle classes, the cost of living, the housing crisis, and the feeling that the social contract is breaking down. People feel they are working harder, paying more tax, yet receiving less in return, less in public services, healthcare access, infrastructure, policing, and basic national stability. And once that perception takes hold, people begin to ask a very dangerous question for any government: why am I still here? Wealth is definitely quietly leaving the UK. Again, I've covered this on a previous video, but this point is extremely uncomfortable, but it's very important. A significant percentage of those leaving the UK are financially mobile. They own properties, companies, investment portfolios, pensions, or reasonably high independent income streams. When they leave the UK, they take with them their future tax contributions, their spending power, their entrepreneurial activities, and often their entire economic footprint. This is what economics quietly refer to as capital drift. Not dramatic, not sudden collapse in the UK society, just a slow, steady bleeding of wealth and productivity across the borders. And once that flow starts, it's extremely difficult to reverse it. Now, I want to be careful here because this is not about party politics. This is about psychology. There is now a growing belief among high earners, investors and business owners that the UK is becoming increasingly hostile towards financial success. Tax the rich sounds like a good slogan, but the problem with that is the rich are mobile, capital is mobile, businesses are mobile, and talent is mobile. If the government signals, fairly or unfairly, that success will be increasingly penalised, not encouraged, the result is predictable. People won't revolt, people won't protest it. They'll relocate quietly. They'll go to Dubai, Portugal, Spain, Thailand, the Philippines, Malaysia, places in Eastern Europe or Latin America. Not because life is perfect there, but because the risk-reward equation feels safer. You can't talk about emigration or immigration and ignore channel crossings and national confidence. Now here's another factor that many Brits talk about openly, but politicians often avoid addressing directly: the ongoing issue of illegal channel crossings and small boats. Regardless of where you stand politically, and regardless of how compassionate your personal views are, what mass public perception sees is lack of border controls, lack of national authority, hotels filled at the public expense, rising pressure on housing, rising pressure on healthcare, rising pressure on local services. And when people feel their government cannot control borders, enforce laws, or manage migration competently and completely, it doesn't just affect immigration debates. It erodes confidence in the entire system. And when that confidence collapses, people with options leave first. This is why expat communities are exploding. Let me tell you what I'm seeing on the ground. British communities abroad are growing fast. Not just retirees, not just backpackers, but technical, engineers, consultants, online business owners, franchise operators, property investors, and remote professionals. They're not running away from Britain, they're running toward control over their own future. Lower taxes, lower stress, lower costs of living, more freedom and movement, and a better quality of life for the same amount of income. This is not a collapse, it's a warning. Let me be very, very clear here. The UK is not collapsing. This is not doomsday. And this is not some kind of dramatic revolutionary moment. What it is this: it's a warning light on the national dashboard, a warning light that the system is losing belief. The tax base is quietly thinning, the productive class is becoming restless, and national confidence is weakening. And history shows us time and time again, when productive citizens no longer believe the deal is fair, they don't fight, they leave. Why does this matter to you? Even if you stay? Even if you never plan to leave the UK, this matters to you because fewer higher earners equals higher tax pressure for everybody else. Fewer investors, weaker growth. Fewer entrepreneurs, fewer jobs. Fewer professionals, declining services. This burden doesn't disappear, it simply shifts downwards, socio-economically. Let me finish with this. Leaving the UK is not cowardice, disloyalty, or abandonment. For most people, it is simply a rational life choice. A decision made quietly at the kitchen table. A calculation about quality of life, financial survival, mental health, and long-term stability. And once those calculations tip, they very rarely tip back. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with somebody else who may also enjoy watching it, because it really does help my channel. And perhaps consider becoming a channel member for exclusive discounts, early access to many of my new videos, and soon, a weekly members only live stream. Thank you for watching, and as always, enjoy.